Hello, my name is Adam Malone. Welcome to my third video on coronavirus. What the hell does it mean? A perspective from the tarot. I think it's becoming clearer and clearer. No one knows what the hell is going on or what's going to happen. Reassuringly. So, I wanted to start by mentioning very briefly the fact that 7 days ago, on the 23rd of March 2020, the UK, like a number of other nations, for its citizens, effectively became an open prison in response to the threat of coronavirus. So, with that in mind, I wanted to mention very briefly two or three of the key symbolic kind of narratives, metaphors, symbolic myths that we reference whenever we consult the tarot. Really in the hope that I can reveal successfully what I think is at the heart of them, which is a very, very important kind of key central concept of individual freedom, the responsibility of individual freedom and the work of individual freedom. So the first two concepts that I'd like to mention come from the psychological model of Carl Jung, and they are the concept of archetypes and the concept of individuation. So for Carl Jung's psychological kind of borderline model, he divided the psyche, the soul, the spirit, the totality of the human mind into three key structures. One being consciousness, one being the unconscious, the individual unconscious, and the collective unconscious. So the concept of archetypes existed for Carl Jung really as the superstructure of the collective unconscious. And in that sense, for tarot card readers, this superstructure of the collective unconscious, which for Jung existed as an experience in images of images, are therefore represented symbolically by the major arcana, the 22 trump cards of the tarot. The last card in the series of 22 major arcana is the world card. And really effectively this is representative of the archetype of the self, and also the goal of the work of Carl Jung's psychological model, which is really the process of individual consciousness, a refinement and a development of individual consciousness. The goal of which is individuation, according to Carl Jung, as represented by the world card. It's this idea that we are all attempting to create an individual separate identity, a coherent self, and express that in the world. At the beginning of the major arcana, the first card is the Fool, also symbolically representative of the hero. So for the hero stories, as perhaps most famously made, known by the work of the comparative mythologist Joseph Campbell, we have the hero's journey, an understanding of the hero's journey. So at the core of, again, similar to the archetypes, there's a structure present within, as identified by Joseph Campbell, within all hero stories that may be viewed as symbolic representations of, again, this process of unconscious unfoldment of the individual and development through various important stages, archetypal stages, such as birth, death, marriage, fatherhood, etc. So really it's possible as tarot card readers for us to suggest that we may view our lives as this heroic journey in order to attempt to understand who we truly are meant to be in the world. And this is a process. It's a process of transformation, as adequately represented, I believe, by, as many do, by the grand metaphor of alchemy. Alchemy was a symbolic process of transformation, of continued refinement, of an attempt to turn base metals into gold, to turn shit into conscious awareness. So really these key metaphors, these narratives, we use whenever we consult the tarot to kind of frame our work as individuals, our effort as individuals. Really, and it is about the development of a more refined, higher sense of self that is the responsibility and the goal of all individuals. Now, obviously, we have this experience in the Western capitalist society of a kind of negative outlook on what individualism has come to represent. We have articles by people like George Monbiot who have talked about that. And now, as we face this lockdown, and we see a number of our sort of individual freedoms taken away for the benefit of the collective, I think it's sort of become easily understood and accepted by a number of people that individuals are bad, and therefore we have to be governed in such a fashion. But really, I wanted to sort of just mention really some of the sort of higher key concepts which are out there, which have been around for a number of years, for many years, and really sort of hope that I can bring food for thought around these key concepts of individualism and individual responsibility and of freedom. So I thought I'd mention those before I do the tarot card reading today. I hope. So what I see here really is a similar theme about that came up in the first video. For me, this is talking about the need to regain control about how we economically exist really in the world, and the transformation that we're about to go through with that. The first card, the Moon, representative of the unconscious. The second card, the Wheel of Fortune, representative of huge karmic cycles and life, and awareness of life patterns that unfold. The third card, the Emperor, representative of father figures, masculinity, but also leaders, as I discussed before in previous readings. For me, that Emperor there is in discussion with the Knight of Discs. And really they're talking about what looks to me like the kind of a process of healing when it comes to what looks like, which I want to say looks like money to me. A successful healing around money. A successful healing of the economy, I would say. And how we may actually still need to face this economic collapse, as represented by the tower. That this is an important part of our process of transformation, as represented by temperance there. Temperance, Crowley called temperance art, and he kind of really turned that into an alchemical image about the balancing of opposites, the true work, the work of the individual, as I mentioned before. This looks like another suggestion really about the need for us to kind of unconsciously face perhaps where our leaders have taken us to, perhaps where we are now going to have to face again, this transformation of how we engage with and exchange value in society. So I guess this reading really is kind of reassertion of what the first one I did was suggestive of, that we are continuing to go through this process of a confrontation with our current economic systems. I know that the vast majority of us are probably still kind of almost existentially kind of concerned about and physically concerned about what's happening with the virus, but it seems to be suggesting to me that this is the main concern that we're going to have really is the economic fallout after this. But yeah, I hope that in some way we are able to kind of contextualize that as an important kind of part of our process and unfoldment of not only individual transformation but also collective transformation. And yeah, onwards and upwards. See you soon out in the prison courtyard. Peace.